So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and update 21 Chains of Harrow is here, and it's a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. Let's just, quickly glance over the patch notes, shall we? It starts off, pretty straightforward. We knew most of this stuff from the Harrow page already, but then out of nowhere, some new stuff pops up, and it just keeps going, and going, and going, on and on and on and on, and oh my goodness! How many fixes are there in this patch? Look at it! And it just keeps going, and when you think you finally made it to the end, Conclave changes. Kaboom. There's a ton of them as well. This patch is huge. So let's go through the changes and additions one by one. So first of all, we have the Chains of Harrow questline. And don't worry, I'm only going to talk about this briefly, and I'm going to show one short clip that doesn't spoil anything, okay? So for me at least, this quest started from the Codex, not from a relay. And overall, I've enjoyed playing through this quest a lot. It has this dark and creepy vibe, and it's just awesome in my opinion. There is a ton of lore in it and some fun mechanics. It's just really good overall, as I've said already. Now, finishing the quest will only get you Harrow's blueprint. You do not get the other parts. You have to farm them separately. The chassis is a drop from corrupted enemy, so you want to do void fissure missions and just kill as many corrupted dudes as possible. The neuroptics are apparently a reward from Grineer Fortress spy missions. That's what the website says, so I assume it's the mission Pago in the Kuva Fortress. And the systems are a reward from defection missions, which is the same game type that we had with the Pacifism Defect event, where you have to escort squads of Steel Meridian Grineer through a ship that was overrun by infestation. I'm happy to see this mission type back because I enjoy doing it, though I think a lot of people aren't gonna be as excited as I am because we had to do it a lot during the Pacifism Defect. But having more mission types to choose from is always good. My first impressions of Harrow are pretty good. I like his first ability, the chains, it's awesome crowd control, I like the sacrificial element, and also the fact that headshots make him far better at what he does, so he rewards good accuracy. Now, Harrow's blueprint isn't the only thing you get by finishing Chains of Harrow, because Paladino will also send you a free melee ribbon. And I'm so happy because I got real lucky and I got a ribbon for the Pangolin sword, which is a weapon so bad that I deleted it. But at least I can show you the amount of stats you can expect on a ribbon for a weapon that's probably going to have strong ribbon disposition. Then we got two new weapons, a status-based spear gun called the Scourge that does raw corrosive damage, and for me at least, this weapon instantly won the best spear gun in the game award as soon as I realized that it doesn't have the charge mechanic on its primary fire. It's using a standard fire mechanic. It also has a little bit of splash on the primary fire, and I'm overall just still playing around with this, and I will make full videos for both weapons as well as Harrow. And the second weapon is called Nell, and this is a very high damage single shot sniper pistol. And I like this weapon a lot because it's very unique. It only has one shot in the magazine and 11 shots in total, but if you hit a headshot, it will transform a little bit, giving you extra crit damage, and it will not consume any ammo, so you can fire it off as much as you want to. I'm a big fan of this one because not only does it reward good accuracy, it also punishes bad accuracy, because if you're not getting headshots, you're gonna A, run out of ammo really fast, and B, you will have to reload after every single shot. But I think it's still worth it because the amount of damage you can do after you get a headshot, especially if you follow it up with more headshots, is disgusting. It works really well with Harrow as well because, headshots are kind of his thing. He's far more effective if you can get constant headshots. Also, since it is a one-handed secondary weapon, you can now dual-wield it with a thrown melee weapon. The dual-wielding system felt a little bit awkward at first because I was basically just doing quick attacks and not utilizing it completely, but once I got used to it and I started using it far more, it actually feels very natural and it's a lot of fun to use. And for those of you who haven't been paying too much attention lately, you can now dual-wield any single-handed secondary weapon with a thrown melee weapon. So if you're running a single-handed secondary weapon and a thrown melee weapon, it equips both of them if you switch to your secondary weapon. Then we got few new Captura scenes, 2 of them are spoilerific and 3 of them are from the new remastered Earth tile set, and look at it. Just look at it. It's so pretty. Hats off, DE. I have no idea how you made it look this good and still run very smooth. There are some lighting glitches in one of the Captura scenes, but that's gonna get ironed out with time, but oh my god, hats off, this is just absolutely gorgeous. Then comes the biggest surprise, at least for me that is, because they decided to buff 32 different weapons. They buffed 3 primary weapons, 6 thrown melee weapons, so basically all of them, and 23 secondary weapons. The primary ones are Daikud, which had its damage increase from 350 to 500, its status chance increase from 45 to 50, and it now has a 100% chance to knock the enemy back when you shoot them. Then there is Stradivar, which had its accuracy increase when shooting full auto from the hip, but also when shooting semi-auto when aiming down sights. They increase the damage from 25 to 28 in full auto mode, and the crit chance has gone up from 10 to 15 in full auto mode as well. And then the Opticore, yes, they buffed Opticore. They added 1 meter innate punch through, they increased the status chance from 15 to 20, the crit chance from 15 to 20, the crit multiplier from 2 to 2.5, oh my god. They increased the thickness of the beam, so it's much easier to hit multiple enemies, and enemies killed by the beam will now disintegrate. Then we have the thrown melee weapons. They increase the crit chance of the Kestrel from 5 to 10, they increase the damage from 30 to 35, and the crit multiplier from 1.5 to 2. With the Glaive, they increase the crit chance from 5 to 10 as well, they increase the damage from 35 to 45, the crit multiplier has gone up from 1.5 to 2, and it now has a mastery rank requirement of 1. Then they increase the status chance of the Serrata from 25 to 30, they increase the damage from 35 to 44, and they change the damage type of the recoil discharge to Toxin. They increase the crit and status chance of the Orpheus from 10 to 15, they increase the damage from 50 to 70, change the recoil discharge damage to Ice, and increase the mastery rank requirement from 5 to 6. Then there is the Halikar, where they increase the status chance from 15 to 20, the crit chance from 5 to 10, the crit multiplier from 1.5 to 2, the damage from 35 to 45, and they increase the mastery rank requirement from 0 to 7. And the final buff for the thrown weapons is for Glaive Prime, where they increase the status chance from 20 to 30, they increase the crit chance from 5 to 15, the crit multiplier from 1.5 to 2, the damage from 45 to 50, they added knockdown to the recoil discharge and increased the mastery rank requirement from 0 to 10. Then they buffed pretty much every single secondary shotgun, starting off with Bronco and AK Bronco, where they increase the damage from 15 to 38. The damage fall-off now starts at 7 meters and it ends at 14 with a minimum damage of 10, and they increase the status chance from 14 to 20. For Bronco Prime, they increase the damage from 20 to 50. The damage fall-off now starts at 9 meters and it ends at 18 with a minimum damage of 13. The status chance has gone from 17.5 to 22. The crit multiplier has gone from 1.5 to 2, and it now has a mastery rank 3 requirement. With the Brak, they increase the damage from 15 to 20. The damage fall-off now starts at 11 meters and it ends at 22 with a minimum damage of 8. The status chance has gone up from 10 to 15 and it now has a mastery rank 6 requirement. Then we have Detron, which had its damage increase from 15 to 40. The damage fall-off starts off at 30 meters and it ends at 26 with a minimum damage of 14. The status chance has gone up from 10 to 20 and it now has a mastery rank 6 requirement, just like the Brak. Next on the list are Twin Roga, which had their damage increase from 20 to 40. The damage fall-off starts at 10 meters and it ends at 20 with a minimum damage of 10, and they are now a mastery rank 8 weapon. Mara Detron has had its damage increase from 20 to 30. The damage fall-off starts at 16 meters and it ends at 32 with a minimum damage of 15. The status chance has gone up from 10 to 20%. The crit chance has gone up from 2.5 to 5%. They increase the accuracy of both hip and aim down sights fire, and it's now a mastery rank 9 weapon. Then they buffed the damage of Comac, going from 8 to 17. The damage follow starts off at 12 meters, ending at 24 with a minimum damage of 5, and it is now a mastery rank 10 weapon. For AK Bronco Prime, they buffed the damage from 20 to 50, the damage fall-off starting at 9 meters and ending at 18 with a minimum damage of 13, and it is now a mastery rank 11 weapon. They increased the damage of Piranha, going from 9 to 22, the damage fall-off starting at 15 meters and ending at 30 with a minimum damage of 6. They increased the magazine from 5 to 10, and it is now a mastery rank 12 weapon. Holy crap, Piranha. And finally, we have the Twin Comac, which had its damage increase from 8 to 17. The damage fall-off starts at 12 meters, ends at 24 with a minimum damage of 5. They increase the rate of fire from 5 to 8. They increase the recoil and decrease accuracy, which is actually kind of bad. And it's now a mastery rank 12 weapon. And finally, oh my goodness, that's a lot of talking, they also took a look at some of the older secondary weapons. So for Leto and AK Leto, they increased the damage from 18 to 30, they increased the crit chance from 5 to 10. AK Leto is also a mastery rank 1 weapon, and they increased the status chance from 1 to 3. But anyway, they increased the damage of Furis and AK Furis from 15 to 20, their status chance from 1 to 8%, and Furis is now a mastery rank 2 weapon, while AK Furis is mastery rank 4. The Lex and Aklex has had their damage increase from 70 to 130, their crit chance increase from 15 to 20%, and Lex is now a Mastery Rank 3 weapon, while Aklex is a Mastery Rank 4 weapon. They increased the damage of Sicarus from 30 to 40, its crit chance from 10 to 15%, its status chance from 2 to 5%, and it's now a Mastery Rank 3 weapon. Then there is Lex Prime, which just had its Mastery Rank requirement increased from 0 to 5. Then there are Dex Furies, which had their damage increase from 15 to 16, increased their crit chance from 8 to 10, their status chance has gone from 5 to 20, and they're now Mastery Rank 5 weapon. Leto Vando has had its damage increase from 20 to 50, its crit chance has gone up from 8 to 20, and its Mastery Rank requirement has been bumped up to 4. Then there is Leto Prime, which had its damage buffed from 22 to 37. They increased the crit chance from 5 to 30% and status chance from 5 to 20%, and it's now a Mastery Rank 6 weapon. And finally, there is Sicarus Prime, which once again saw a damage buff going from 40 to 50. They increased the crit chance from 20 to 25, its status chance from 10 to 20, and it's now a Mastery Rank 7 weapon. Jesus Christ, many buffs. Now, handle it. Now, I've already seen some people complaining about the addition of damage falloff for the secondary shotguns, but it just kinda puts them in line with all the other shotguns, and the thing is, most of these, if not all of them, were only really effective at short range, so the effectiveness of those weapons doesn't really change. Then they finally added the Glass Gambit augments to their respective syndicates, and I already did a video for all of them, so I will put a link to the playlist where I take a look at them in the description. Oh yeah, and they buffed Avenging Turd, which is the augment for Sylvan Aegis. It now stores double the damage it did previously. Then they added a new armored Grineer unit called the Nox, who will show up in Grineer missions that are above level 15. And this dude is very heavily armored and he has a heavy toxin gun, so get ready to deal with some toxin procs in high level Grineer missions. They've also changed the way enemies spawn in extermination missions, so it starts off by spawning some of the weaker units, and as you kill more and more enemies, tougher units and more Eximus units will show up. And overall, they just improved the spawning and the behavior of enemies in extermination missions, so there should be far fewer, if any, instances of one enemy running away like half a mission away, so you have to stop, go back, kill that one enemy, and then run back through half the level to continue exterminating. Then they made a pretty big change to the Corpus ship tileset generation, where it will now prefer large open rooms to narrow corridors, and they've also normalized mobile defense missions, where the majority of mobile defense missions will now have 3 terminals and only very specific ones will have 2. They also removed all elevator tiles from the Grineer Asteroid and Corpus Ice Planet tileset on the main path, so if you're just running to the objective and then to the extraction, you shouldn't encounter any elevators there. And they also reduced the amount of filler tiles you would get in the Kuba Fortress Assault mission, which is pretty good, because if you ever farmed that mission, you know you would run through like 10 rooms in between each objective, which can get kind of annoying after a while. And I think that's about enough, because the list just goes on and on and on, and I could talk about the different changes for about an hour, but I think I've covered kind of like the most important changes, or what I think are the most important changes and additions. So I thank you very much for watching, as always guys, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.